In today's lesson, Unit 1, Module 4, Lesson 4, Tempo and Pitch, we're going to look at how changing the tempo of a pitch should be done in a song using ear sketch, and how do you transition from one change to another. So let's get started. So first, tempo is the speed at which some music is played. In ear sketch, we set the tempo of our song at the top of each script when you use the set tempo function. In music, different genres have different tempos. Like hip-hop is 85 to 95 beats per minute, pop is 118 beats per minute, techno is 120 to 125 beats per minute, electro is 128 beats per minute, house music is 115 to 130 beats per minute, dubstep and trap is 140 beats per minute, and drum and bass music is 160 to 180 beats per minute. The tempo of each sample usually reflects the list of these genres. If you would like to know exactly what tempo we have of a sample, you just hover your mouse over the clip and it'll say exactly where the original tempo was recorded at. In addition, ear sketch puts the tempos, similar tempos together in folders. Now pitch is one that we can actually have an effect of, because tempo we can really change only one time in ear sketch at the very beginning. We can choose different clips that are of different speeds, but setting that tempo in the beginning pretty much sets it for everything for the entire song. So that's kind of challenging to change in ear sketch. But pitch is the quality of sound that determines how the highs or the lows sound. The human ear hears pitch by ordering relative musical tones on a scale or a set of musical notes. This ordering is based off perception of the frequency of sound. This means pitch and frequency are related, but they're not exactly the same because your ears hear things differently. Pitch, duration, loudness, and timbre all factor into the complete musical tone. Here's an example of what I mean by pitch. The key of the song indicates the scale or the group of pitches in which the music has been composed. In general, in ear sketch, sounds that are in the same folder are all in the same key, which should help you choose clips that go well together. We can also use the pitch shift. This set effect function that we have looked at before, really the only thing we can affect is the actual number of semitones that we are changing. So minus 12 or plus 12. 12 semitones is 1 octave. So we have a range. So we have a range of 1 octave below and 1 octave above where we currently are. Bypass allows us to turn the pitch shift on and off. You can also use envelopes to apply this to an entire track and choose exactly where you want it to start and how much of an effect you want it to have. It might be interesting to shift slowly from one pitch to another using an envelope. Speaking of slowly changing, we want to have some transition strategies in here, some way of changing the sound without actually being very startling to the listener. We want to lead the ear as they travel from one sound to the other. So these are passages of music that combine neighboring musical sections. Transitions can be used to connect verse and chorus, build up a drop, combine collectively written sections, mix between tracks, DJing, or modulating between keys. The first sound is a crash cymbal. Sometimes placing a loud crash cymbal on a beat of a new section is a simple way to signal a new change. Sometimes actually reversing the cymbal crash is a good way to do that too. A drum fill. It's a rhythmic variation used to fill the gap before a new section of music. Here's an example. So you can see once they put that drum fill in there, they changed the pitch, and they also added some distortion into that song to really make it sound different. Track dropouts is when you specifically drop out certain tracks during a transition to create rests or pauses. The ear is accustomed to certain repetitions, so this dropping out of tracks grabs the user's attention. Here's an example. Right there. So you can hear in the music that they dropped a track out at one point, right where I said right there, and there was that slight transition from one piece of music to another. Melody variation. This is when you include a variation of chords or bass line or change in melody before a new section. Often we can find within EarSketch sound library that contains a variation of similar riffs. For example, if you take a look at the sound folder under UK House ARP lead folder, you'll find different sounds. So if we take a look, here's UK House, 5th chord. I just did a search for UK, and we can hear some of the sounds. And then here's another similar sound. So two different melodies, but they're meant to go together. Here's UK House Acid Line. Here's another one. And then here's the one I had mentioned, the UK House ARP lead. So you can see we have 4 different melodies, but they all really use the exact same instrumentation and the same tempo. A riser is another way of changing that, where you start with a sustained note or noise that increases in pitch. So this is where that pitch envelope would really become helpful. And this is often paired with another transition technique. It's extremely common in EDM music, and as it creates an anticipation of the drop. EarSketch has a number of sounds labeled as risers. Use the term riser in the sound browser to check them out. So here is an example of that sound. A reverse cymbal crash in this really helps make the transition. So in summary, tempo is the speed at which music plays. The clips in EarSketch library are organized into folders of related sounds, whether it's on tempo or it's a melody relationship. Pitch is the sound determines of how high or how low sounds are related. The key of the song defines the scale or group of pitches. And transitions are ways of connecting different musical sections in order to make the sound more natural. So here's your assignment.